the picture from the EU elections is very mixed. So the European Parliament is the world's largest supranational, directly elected parliament in the world. There are 27 member states, so effectively there are 27 national contests. And the winners of those, the people who are elected members of the European Parliament, then go to Brussels and Strasbourg, are the two places where the Parliament sits. And then they don't sit in their national groups anymore, they sit in ideological groups. So there'll be a centre-left grouping, a centre-right grouping, a liberal grouping. But what we've seen, especially in the last two elections, they're every 5 years, in the last decade, is that support for parties that are on outside of the centrist mainstream, if you like, have been gaining votes. So on the left, that's tending to go to the Greens, but on the right, it's been going to radical right parties, but also parties that we might consider just very conservative parties, Giorgia Meloni's Fratelli d'Italia. So that there is a certain growing level of support for radical right parties across the EU that tend to frame their critique of the European Union and domestic politics in terms of the nation and national values and national sovereignty. In some countries, like France, the radical right populists had an electoral victory, but they had a political win because Macron said, well, let's now have a whole other election about it. And that I think gave them a win. If we look in Scandinavia, we don't find the radical right populists there doing well. They kind of went backwards. And if we look in places like Italy and Hungary, they kind of stayed the same. So the picture is mixed, but I think that the political momentum has shifted to France. Ursula von der Leyen, who is the president of the European Commission and a member of a centre-right political party, said the centre held because the centrist parties of centre-left and centre-right basically stayed the same as they were from the previous election with small movements. And the one said she's correct, the centre did hold, but is it the centre anymore? Because the political momentum has gone with the radical right populists.